Would you rather own 100% of a little grape or 10 to 30% of a massive watermelon? Welcome to the Nine Doors Down Show, where we discuss anything and everything about commercial real estate and investing. Let's get it.
Nine Doors Down.
John Lopez.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Tony Rose.
Nine Doors Down.
Hi, this is Anthony Pimentel.
Educating, capital raising, networking.
Nine doors down. Nine doors down.
This is called a show.
All right, Anthony. So let's talk about our guest, man. Bryan Kreuzberger. So I know you met him several times out there in Southern California. I do know that he started his agency with insurance back in 2014 with Farmers Insurance. I know he dabbles into commercial as well as residential as well as business. But yeah, let's bring on our guest, Mr. Bryan Kreuzberger. How you doing, Bryan?
Hey, good afternoon, guys. How are you?
Doing great.
Doing good.
Doing great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I just gave a short synopsis to our listeners about your background, but I know you could dive in much deeper. If you briefly want to touch base of, your background, what your life was prior to your insurance career.
Yeah. So, it's kind of funny, right? I mean, you pretty much anybody that is in the insurance industry, you ask them, how they got their start, and I would tell you, virtually nobody says, well, I dreamt of being an insurance agent or being in a insurance industry, from when I was really young. So that I'm no exception. I mean, I didn't start off thinking that, I wanted to be an insurance superhero, but the reason that I went down that path was because it was already in my family. So, I had an experience with insurance because my dad started his own independent commercial insurance agency, 35 years ago, or maybe longer now. And so I was really young, and he kind of got his start. His real first career was in insurance, and he was recruited by somebody that was really smart, that was really successful, that was running a very successful insurance business. And so my dad had previously worked for a stereo company called Federated. I don't know if any of our listeners remember that. That was a long time ago, before Circuit City. So out of college, he was selling stereo systems. And then he met, very interesting people during that time. And he met this one guy that, picked up that he was a really good salesperson and said, hey, I think you do really well in insurance. And so he kind of went down that path, started his career in insurance, learned from somebody that was really well respected, very successful in the industry. And then, basically decided he wanted to start his own thing. So I grew up, seeing my dad as an entrepreneur, a business owner, and I really liked that part of it, that, seeing him, kind of do his own business and kind of make his own hours. And there were a lot of late nights and stuff like that, but he was his own guy. I went to school. I got a business degree in marketing at Chico State University in Northern California. And, my mom growing up was always a realtor. She was always a realtor in the real estate business.
You were a party guy. You went to Chico.
Yeah. It was, I got a degree in partying, and I got a minor in business. So graduated, I knew I wanted to do something in business and marketing. I actually got recruited by my uncle. Like I said, I had a lot of family in insurance, and my uncle was a big time Farmers guy with a company for a very long time, was a big producer in life insurance. And so he recruited me right out of college. Very coach mindset. So I was like, I'm sure I can learn something from this guy. He's been doing this for a long time. He's successful. So I got my start initially with a Farmers agent, business owner. And then, I got licensed and all that. And then I couldn't go down that path with him because we had very, very different personalities. And, I just knew that we would butt heads and it wouldn't work out, long term. So I got a lot of information from him, learned the business. Then I went over and worked for my dad, commercial insurance. So I did, artisan contractors. I did building owners, apartment buildings. I did all that stuff. And I really kind of got my base from, working for my dad. So that's how I started. And then it kind of evolved and did that for like 9 years. And then I basically left during the kind of the recession. We had a lot of commercial contracts, clients that, were really downsizing. It was a tough time. So at that point I said, well, I'm going to kind of see what else is out there. That's all I had done out of college. And I got hired by a farmer's district manager to be like a consultant in consulting with other agents and helping them grow their businesses and becoming more successful small business owners, working on their business instead of just in their business. So I got a really kind of full circle. I mean, I started insurance, started like, on the ground level, slaying in insurance, selling to business owners. Then I went to the kind of the management role as a consultant. And then I said, you know what, after about 2 years of that, there was an opportunity and I acquired a book of business. So here I am today, 9 years later, and loving it.
That's great, man. And how did you and Anthony meet?
Yeah. So me and Anthony, we hit it off. What Anthony was
Vegas. We actually met in Vegas.
Yeah, we actually met in Vegas.
Red
Like
Rock.
2 years ago now?
No, last year. It was for so our daughters play volleyball together, club volleyball. And it was Red Rock Rave. I think it was one of the biggest volleyball tournaments. And we just met there. And I think we just kind of stayed connected, kind of hit it off where, our kids love volleyball. And then we just started chatting. I started talking real estate. I'm a business owner. And then he told me he did insurance. And it was kind of like, bam. And then we just kind of stayed connected. And he helped me, underwrite some policies and help me out here and there. And then give me some knowledge about the insurance industry. But
yeah, I think we both had some, similar interests. We're both, entrepreneurs, in spirit. And so it was a good connection. And and his daughter is, by the way, she's a baller, and our daughters love each other. So it was just a perfect connection.
Yeah, we get along. Yeah, the girls get along really well. Yeah, Brian, great family. His kids are all athletic. It's awesome. It's going to be a fun season this year. We're actually on the same team again, so it's going to be great. Because every year you're kind of trying out for the next level up, and fortunately we're in the same team again, so we're gonna hang out and talk more real estate or whatever it is.
Yeah, we got Vegas coming up again in March, right?
Well, yeah. So let's peel that back a little bit. So you're like how you guys met each other. You guys met through obviously through daughters, through volleyball, and the relationship and the trust factor had to be there before you guys even like explored new direction. So Brian, if you want to touch on that, like how big is building relationships for your business?
Really, that's the cornerstone of any successful business, is being able to build relationships and to build trust. Just the people in your community, the people that within your community, through local sports or through local business. I mean, if you really have to build that relationship, and it's all, everything is based on perception and it's all based on reputation. I mean, that's everything. That really is honestly the cornerstone to any successful business. We've been doing this now for 14 years. We have I feel like we have a very high reputation within our community. We've had a lot of opportunities to give back to the community through different nonprofit organizations. And, it's really all about, being able to provide value to whether it's a customer, a prospect, or just a neighbor. If you're providing value, the trust and the relationship is a result of that. So really, our motto has always been, how can we provide value to you? How can we help you to succeed? Because if we can help that other person on the other end succeed, then we're already we know that it's going to kind of come back in return, and we're going to also become successful because of it. So it's always that kind of the heart of giving back to the community in some way.
Yeah. And I say this almost on like every episode, right? Because we're really big on relationships. And again, for our listeners, this may sound redundant, but everybody has a starting point. Everybody has an end goal. And what's the missing component right in between? It's always the people and the relationships. Always, no matter what business, no matter what activity, no matter what goals you're trying to accomplish, you need a troop with you to whether they're direct employees, whether they're your partners, whether they're third party, vendors, but you need that team to help push you to the next level. And I think Brian, you're the epitome of that.
Yeah, I mean, I truly agree, because I feel like insurance, I feel like your clients are like family, right? Because it's not like someone just buys insurance and then they go switch up. I mean, I know I've had my insurance for, I think, as old as my kids, same company. So it's there's that kind of family factor of it where you kind of stick with you most of the time.
That definitely separates the good agents from the rest of them. We do get a lot of phone calls in from clients and customers that say, hey, I haven't heard from my agent in over a year, or I'm not getting phone calls back. We as consumers pay a premium for those insurance, those services. We want to make sure that we're very proactive with our clients. We're following up with them. We're checking in on them. We really want to see our clients as an extension of our families, because we're going through a lot of different events. We're going through the kids that are growing up now getting their license, and they're driving. Now the kids are getting married. Now we're dealing with the life events where they're getting promotions and they're getting the careers, retirement, and grandkids. So I mean, there are all these events. We try to be a part of those things. That is something that really has helped us stand apart from a lot of our competitors, that we're involved. We know what's going on within the family unit.
Let's pivot a little bit. So 9 Doors Down, as our listeners know, we're big on multifamily and self-storage. And and I would say in the last 12 to maybe 16 months or so, insurance rates in some areas of this country has either doubled or been abandoned altogether for a certain city, or if it's zoned for a certain, whether it's fire or floods. Can you touch on that? That's a fear factor in many new investors right now. They're afraid to dive into that first asset just because they don't know how to prepare for if rates were to go up in the next 24 months or 12 months.
Yeah, so I've been in this industry in some capacity for just about 20 years. I mean, it is the worst market that I've been in and experienced. The insurance market is tightening up, and it's happening really fast. It's happening especially fast with home and auto insurance companies. Regardless of what state you're in. However, California, Florida, Louisiana, Texas, those states are being hit especially hard, where we're seeing carriers are pulling out of the market, where they're no longer issuing policies. They're putting a moratorium on binding any new coverage, or they're simply just leaving the state completely, or they're selling to other carriers or merging. So what's happening is that they simply cannot operate profitably in a very inflationary market. There's been a lot of factors. I think it really all kind of started with COVID. There was about a 2-year period where, with regard to California in particular, the insurance commissioner said, hey, carriers are no longer able to increase their rates during this time. So because of that, the rates were flat. However, there was the cost of goods and materials were going up. The cost of lumber, if you guys remember, actually went through the roof, quite literally. So we had the supply chain issues, where there was backups with the carriers coming across the seas and stuff like that. There was major supply issues with shortages and this kind of stuff. Well, all these things happened and kind of created a perfect storm. The cost of business became extremely high. Now, not only that, you had claims come into play, and because of the cost of building materials going up, the supply down, the labor and overhead, these workers and other employees wanting to make more money. really kind of all culminated in this situation where carriers now that hadn't been able to take rate for the last 2 years were paying out quite a bit more in claims from these severity claims. Now we're talking about catastrophic events. California, obviously wildfires is a big one. Florida, you got your hurricanes and your storms. So all these things happened, and the insurance companies were actually losing money because of the size of the claims they were paying out on a national level. So that all kind of basically came to a head where the insurance companies, what they look at as loss ratios, meaning for every dollar in premium they take in to cover a particular risk, they were paying out more in claims. So, I mean, farmers specifically, we had an expense ratio of 30%. So meaning that for every dollar we took in, we're paying $30 cents on the dollar was going towards claims. That's kind of why we are in the situation that we're in. And that's why, companies like State Farm that have lost billions and billions of dollars in claims payout, having a moratorium right now in the state of California. The only thing they can sell right now is auto insurance. Wow. So it's definitely been challenging.
Welcome to the course on raising capital for investments. In this course, we'll cover the following topics. 1, analyzing your investment strategy. 2, discovering potential investors. 3, crafting your pitch. 4, securing your investment. 5, our cheat code. We'll round out the program with our very own cheat code for getting in front of investors and being ready to pitch your investment opportunities. Take action today. Visit schoolofninedoorsdown.com and learn to attract capital.
Now, what do you suggest for the investors that they have assets in Florida, Louisiana, Houston, or fire zones in California, and their existing insurance policy, is no longer supporting that area? What's the best recommendation that you could give for them?
So to be proactive with managing their risk, getting in touch, working closely with their insurance brokers, actions they can take to safeguard their properties, defensible space around a structure, for example, having that defensible space to reduce the chance of fire, to make sure that they're safeguarding their property, mitigate potential losses when storms come through. I mean, really, it's all about communicating with the brokers and making sure that the brokers are doing the best job possible, and maybe they're looking at other carriers that are entering the market, and they're shopping around to give them the best possible coverage. But it really is, it's where they can both buyers or investors and the insurance brokers can come together and work on solutions to mitigate those risks.
That's got to be so tough. Like, for you, I'm sure you have a very strong sales background, and just for a whole piece of chunk of like a zip code or whatever, you lose that book of business. That's got to be tough for you as well.
It is. It's definitely been a lot more challenging than it was a couple of years ago. With my agency and my business, we are more adjusting our business model. We've always been known as a captive market, meaning that we sell farmers, and that's kind of really the only thing that we do. However, we've kind of changed the business model a little bit to now we're becoming more of an independent broker. So we have farmers, that's always going to be our bread and butter. We have to give the first right of refusal to farmers, but certain target zip codes, because of the market conditions, a lot of Santa Clarita, where I live, is considered, high brush area from an insurance standpoint. So in those particular zip codes or areas that maybe there's less access points to get to that location, to mitigate the risk, the fire, or brush behind the house or within a certain foot span between the property and the brush. We are actually, farmers is now allowing us to open up other channels. So we're becoming more of an independent broker. We're not just pigeonholed with one company. some of our other competitors don't have that option. Farmers has recognized kind of what the consumer's needs are, what the market is going through, and has allowed us the opportunity to go to other carriers. So we definitely have more options now, thankfully, because the market is demanding it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, because that's basically what, for our listeners, is like, that's what they can expect with going through you. You're going to shop for the best rates for your clients, right? So, like, for example, me as a business owner, do you work with the business owner to kind of tailor the policy to kind of help them also make profit? Because as insurance, the insurance company is not making money, right? They're saying we're losing 30 cents on the dollar, and as a business owner, if that's happening to insurance, we're also losing because of the fact that premiums have gone up. So,
Right.
I mean, do you work? I mean, how are you working with these owners and be like, hey, you can maybe take this off, maybe do this, do that? How's that going for you now? And has it been more difficult?
Yeah, I think really what we're doing is we're trying to educate our clients and our business owners of what their everyday risks are, and we're trying to put together a customized plan to reduce as much of that risk as possible. Our job as brokers and insurance advisors is really to sit down with a business owner to go over potential risk, those types of business, whether it's a manufacturing company, whether it's a building owner, whether they own apartment buildings, kind of to sit down with that business owner and to go over the what ifs. And then once, we kind of identify what those biggest risks are to loss, we kind of put together a plan, a risk management plan that kind of mitigates a lot of those risks up front. So yeah, it's customized to each individual business owner, exactly what their exposures are, but we're making sure that we're doing things up front by providing safety manuals. We've got risk management procedures in place. We can even sit down with them and do tailgate meetings with their employees and their staff members to make sure that they're doing certain things, best practices based on the industry that we're working with. Yeah, we're very, very hands-on, and we're doing everything we can so that if we do the field underwriting up front with the owner and the insurance company, eventually we can get back to a point where we're competitive again, and we can bring those prices and those rates back down. So it all starts with that field underwriting and
Right.
that communication up front.
No, that's a great point. I think education is key. Making sure you understand the business owner's, kind of plans for the actual business and limit their risk. Now, another question for you is, I mean, have you seen rates go down? Like, is it, or it's just been up and up and up for the last 16 months, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, not really. I mean, again, most of my business has been in California.
Yeah.
In California is a different state.
Yeah.
I have some statistics. I think we are number one in auto accidents, fatalities, unlicensed drivers, hit and run accidents, rear end accidents. I mean, we're number one. We take the cake on those things. And so,
Are those all
is
different categories?
Is that is that per capita, or is that just gross number?
Gross number. Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a very unique marketplace. And obviously all those things are really driving rate. So I have not really seen rate go down. I mean, there are certain things that are more adverse than others, so it does depend on the type of business that you're dealing with. But generally speaking, we're seeing an upward trajectory right now on everything. And I think, lawmakers and Congress is trying to get together to figure out solutions, but how that takes time. I mean, we're probably in this market for a good another 12 months minimum. If we can make it through 2024, we've been talking to a lot of the corporate heads And the message is, if we can make it through 2024, then we should kind of be on the end of this cycle, which is this hard market cycle. Insurance industry goes through cycles. There's a soft market where there's a lot of companies in that are competing for business, which drives down the rate. Right now, it's a very hard market. So there's fewer and fewer carriers, obviously, as you can see, as carriers are getting out of the state of California, quite a few less companies that are competing for business. So the prices and the rates are up. But typically we see that cycle go about 2 to 3 years. And I think we got another year of that right now.
So I got a question. So for the new investor or even experienced investor, say they're looking at a great investment opportunity. Well, it's an apartment. We'll just say Houston or Galveston, Texas, right? What are some measures that they can take before they actually acquire the property, as far as insurance goes?
Absolutely. So I tell prospects and clients all the time, when whether they're looking to purchase an income property or a commercial building, you want to connect with an insurance broker local to the area and find out, number one, is this property insurable? Am I going to run into issues finding an admitted insurance company in the state? Or am I going to have a problem where you're going to have to find an excess or surplus lines carrier that maybe is not backed by the state, but there's a brokered market in there. So kind of moving forward with the purchase process, you definitely want to get involved with a local broker, insurance broker, to kind of advise, can I get kind of a preliminary insurance quote? What does that cost? What does that look like? Obviously, so that you can do that in your profit to loss ratios and those sorts of things, your expense ratios, to see if that is really going to be a good fit. And you want to shop it with a couple of brokers, because certain brokers have access to carriers that other brokers don't. So you definitely want to do your homework and make sure that you're getting full representation within the marketplace and you're getting multiple quotes, but definitely want to kind of do that up front.
And one other thing, just to add to that, is also picking the right insurance, right? The insurance company to work with. You don't want to work with someone that maybe, hey, they're struggling in the back end that nobody knows. And then all of a sudden you're there to file a claim. Let's say we had a small fire in one of our buildings or something happened. You go file the claim. The process takes 6 to 8 months, for example. And at the end of it, the company doesn't have the funds to be able to pay you out, or the necessary funds. So how would you also maybe advise our listeners on how to kind of vet those type of insurance companies out and picking the right company?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So what I do when I'm shopping out for a prospective client that's looking to purchase a property, and we're brokering this out to several different insurance companies, I always advise my clients that, number one, we only work with A-rated insurance carriers. What that means is that they're financially sound. They've been around for a long time. They have a stable to improving outlook financially. So these are solvency issues that we address up front with our prospects. That's if there is a claim scenario, they have the ability to pay out on that claim. There's not going to be a solvency issue. So definitely want to make sure that you get up front those financials of the insurance carriers that are bidding on the insurance. That they're A+ rated, they're financially sound, and they're stable companies.
That's a great point, and it kind of just boils back down. You want to build the relationships before you get into a venture, or even you want to further that relationship, but also build new relationships. And I can see that in insurances.
Yeah. So what are the so you said A-rated, and then what's the next? Maybe give us a couple levels down that you would risk.
Yeah.
What's the lowest you'd go?
Yeah, so there's a rating company called AM Best. Their sole purpose is to vet these companies, to look at their financials, and then to give them a financial score. So AM Best rating goes in and they find out where these carriers are domiciled, where their state of business is. They talk about their management structure, who runs the company, how long they've been in business, what their assets under management are. Anything with an A or better, and goes up to A plus 17 or A plus 18, meaning they've got over $1 billion in assets under management. You're golden there. You're looking at longevity, you're looking at kind of the management structure, and you're looking at the overall financial grade.
Yeah, man. So let's wrap things up. What does the painting for Brian and your insurance group, how does the painting look like 5 years from now?
I think it looks really, really good. I mean, we're in growth mode right now. We just hired another agency producer onto our team, been on board about a month. We're also actively looking for and recruiting talent right now. We've got somebody else that we're talking with to bring onto the team. So I think the outlook's very positive. My objective right now is to reinvest back into the business with additional education and training, onboarding additional staff members. We're trying to do the opposite of, I think, a lot of our competitors right now that are pulling back. We're reinvesting into our future. Coming up on 10 years next year, I mean, I'm going to be doing this probably till I'm 65 at least. And then my son who's 17 says, "Hey, Dad, just keep working late and building that empire so that, when I'm ready, I can just take it over." And I'm like, "Yeah, not quite how it works, buddy, but
No.
you can come in and pick up the phone and do some telemarketing. We'll see how that goes."
Yeah. he wants to hand it in a silver platter,
Yeah.
No way.
But no, we're doing really well. I mean, we've got a really high retention ratio, which is a great barometer of how we're doing as a business. We're over 90% in a very, very difficult market. So I mean, we're having a lot of hard conversations right now with our clients and going over their renewals. We're seeing some pretty large increases right now, and it's tough. It's tough for everybody, not to mention the ones that are on fixed incomes or that are retired. So we're very strategic with having those conversations with enough time to make some decisions on adjustments and looking at other options for them. So I think that all kind of has allowed us to have that high retention because we're very proactive. We're communicating many touch points with our customers, letting them know what's going on, so that, when they get these increases, at least they understand why they're getting these increases and what they can do. So I really think it boils down to that communication, and that's where we've focused. It's shown that it's kept the back door closed for the most part.
Right. That's great, man. It's just, when you talk about just surviving 2024, I think Anthony and I were at a conference early this year, and the theme was survive to 2025. And this is just on the commercial real estate investor side of things, but that same could be said for the insurance and everything else. Just make it to 2025.
Yep.
Phrases like blood in the water. It's going to be nuts. We just got to be prepared. That's basically how we work, and like how you work is being proactive, right? We educate ourselves. So that's awesome, man.
Yeah. And we didn't even, get into, some of the other lines. I mean, we've really opened up as a company to where we are still competitive, where we're still profitable, I should say, with the company. And right now, auto is not profitable. Personal auto business is not profitable. So we recognize that we've been able to pivot to the lines of business that are, which is, life insurance, whether it be key man or executive life insurance packages, those types of things in commercial, we're still very, very competitive and profitable in a lot of commercial small business lines of insurance. So that's where we've kind of pivoted, and we're focused on those things that are going to strengthen our bottom line so that we can get back to a position where, we can then stabilize and be able to offer those competitive rates again for the home and the auto and some of those other lines. So, I think as a whole, the company has been really strong in identifying where we're making the company money, and we're really kind of refocusing our efforts on that right now to get through 2024 and to stabilize the market in general.
Great insight, Brian. Well, let's before we jump off, we're gonna dive into our lightning round. This is where Anthony and we just asked 2 to 3 really random questions, so that way our listeners could get to know the unbuttoned up, unprofessional side of Brian, right? So here's I'll toss the first question out to you. So you're stuck on an island all by yourself, nobody else around, no friends, no family. However, you will be able to have either your iPhone or your Android, but you could only load up one album, just one album. And that's the album that if you had to, you could listen to it over and over and over again. What would that album be for you?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I love music. I've always got music playing in the background. Right now, I'd probably say Zach Bryan.
Zach Bryan, I've never
Country.
heard.
Country. He's country.
Yeah. He's the hot country guy right now.
Any specific album with Zach Bryan?
I love everything he's putting out. He's a new artist, and he's kind of the modern country. So it's not like, the Garth Brooks that, a lot of people associate country with. It's more kind of rock country. So yeah, that'd be my album.
Awesome.
That's your guys' homework, listeners. Pull up some Zach Bryan on your Spotify or YouTube.
they probably know him.
I'm gonna dig in.
Yeah, look him up, dude. It's
today.
cool. It's like soulful. It's really cool lyrics. A lot of instruments. It's awesome. You gotta check it out. Come on, man. Come on, John. You gotta get with it, buddy.
I do. I gotta get down or lay down.
Let's go.
Yeah, John's a DJ, so he knows music really well. Okay. He's old school.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of all genres of music. I love hip hop. It's funny because I like hip hop and I also like country, but I also like classic rock and everything in between, man. So that's cool that you're into that whole scene.
I'll tell you a story. So back when I was still active in the clubs, because nowadays I'm really more on the production side of things. But when I was active in the clubs, the very last song that I would play, because in California the clubs ends at 2:00, right? So by 1:57, I play that one last song. It's a feel good song, but for everyone to to just exit the club, right? And oh my god, I forget the artist. I know you'll probably know this, but it's that song "I Love This Bar."
Oh yeah.
I got money.
Oh, that's a good one, man.
Oh, who's that artist?
I love this bar.
Yeah, man, that's my go-to song. To just for in a classy way. Hey guys, you guys got to go home.
I like that, man.
and it's shouting out the venue that I'm playing at.
So you might go from like the club bangers, hip hop stuff to I love this bar.
Complete 180. Yeah. And so I would always have people looking at me. They'd look at me and stare, and they were like, "Oh, I get it. I love this bar." So everybody walks away smiling.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony's turn.
You guys like to travel? I think your family likes to, travel with the whole family. And so my question is, what's your ideal vacation? And if is it tropical or is it mountain? And where would it be?
That's a tough one too, man, because I have so many on my bucket list. I would say I would love to go see like Greece.
Greece. Okay, yeah.
It just, something about like those bluffs and those like white, beautiful, structures along that coastline there, and like the crystal clear water. I mean, I just think that, and just kind of that rich history in that whole country, and in all the little areas around there too. I would that, and then the other one would be like Ireland.
Ireland. Okay, nice.
Well, I'm Kreuzberger is German, so that's obviously on the bucket list too, going to Germany. So
Yeah, Greece.
It
I mean,
is.
it's beautiful. I
Couple.
think that's on my list too. The Mykonos, I think, is the island.
yeah,
But I spoke with some guys. He said there's even a better island in Greece that's, than Mykonos. I don't know if I'm even saying it right, but that's awesome, man.
yeah,
Good stuff.
yeah.
I can
One
dig
day,
that. I
we
can
just
dig
gotta,
that.
get a few more really talented team players in here, and hopefully I won't have to work so much.
Yeah. There you go. All right. Last question. What is Brian's superpower?
I think just being able to have like a real emotional like connection with so many different types of people. Like I feel like I feel like I'm a people person in general. I like people, and I give them the benefit of the doubt, and I can always try to find something relatable or something that I can connect with. Doesn't matter who the person is. So I would say that's probably my biggest strength.
Again, the relationship theme is with Brian, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. So for our listeners, how can they get a hold of you? Any social media handles, websites,
Yeah.
email?
Yep. So working on that whole aspect, I'm a little bit, I got some work to do with the whole social media thing. I mean, I do have social media on Facebook at Kreuzberger Insurance. You can also find me on Instagram, Brian Kreuzberger. We have, website, but really, where we get a lot of our content is from Yelp, just yelping, Farmers Insurance or Kreuzberger Insurance. We have, a 4.9 rating. We've got so many reviews, and that's really kind of, if you want to kind of get a taste of how we treat our customers, that's definitely a good place to go.
That's great, man. And Brian, we just want to say thank you again for being on our show. Coming from the commercial real estate world, your world of insurance plays a massive role in our operations, which we could, in some cases it could be, you could be bleeding red or you could be thriving, right? And a lot of that is just, your due diligence going into it and the relationships you're building. So once again, we just want to say thank you. And on the behalf of the Nine Doors Down show, this is John Lopez, my co-host.
Anthony Pimentel.
And we out.
Peace.
Peace.
Thanks
Appreciate you
again,
guys.
Brian.
Thank you. Great to meet you.